Chapter 15. A warning from Dietrich. I heard a knock at the door. I thought it was Ariel coming back, but instead, there stood a man in his late 30s with brown blondish hair, a medium build and a bit balding. He wore a khaki wool suit with a black straight tie. Ratzel said,
"Young man, I'd like you to meet Dietrich Bonhoeffer."
"How do you do?"
he said, extending his hand to me. His German accent was stereotypical and his manner was genteel. I was a bit in awe because I considered him a Christian martyr. Dietrich Bonhoeffer opposed the Nazi takeover of Germany, including the subversion of the church. Adolf Hitler ensured his hanging in 1945, before the Allies liberated the concentration camp where he was imprisoned. Raziel said,
"Brother Dietrich is here to give you a message for your notes."
Raziel pulled up another chair, and we all sat around the fireplace. Dr. Bonhoeffer tugged at his suit jacket and crossed his legs with a smile.
"Nice to meet an American again,"
he said.
"I've spent some time in America. Of course, that was before your dad was even born."
I know things have changed greatly since World War II. America is dying, I told him.
"This is why I came to visit. As you know, I lived at a time when Moloch ruled our land. I didn't know what a spiritual battle it was until I arrived here, but I knew we were fighting against the deepest evil,"
he said enthusiastically. Dietrich uncrossed his legs, leaned in, and said,
"Tell them they cannot be silent. Satan is coming. The church in North America is either compromised or willingly voiceless. It is worse than when I was alive, for you have allowed 40 million murders of children, even now. The wicked wish to mutilate children and deprive them of innocence. The true test of a moral society is what it does to its children. Violence fills the streets, and the blood of the fallen cries out. God will not hold you guiltless as a community. When injustice is given in the name of justice, the result is an abomination. I have seen injustice and cruelty, and I tell you, my friend, that justice does not come from self-righteousness."
After I visited hell, I knew that his message was relevant. The church needed to hear the testimony of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, so I wrote what he said.
"In America, God's grace is treated like a commodity, like popcorn at a circus. It is cheap. It is bought and sold worse than any Catholic indulgence. The church is selfish. Tell them that they give Satan a foothold, not the lost. The church is only the church when it lives for others, and when truly obedient, dies for others. Tell men of every station what it means to live for Christ. American Christians have lost sight of the cost of discipleship. It is not cheap, but costly. If they wait any longer, the cost of inflation will mean their blood."
Animated, Dietrich stood up and pointed at me, saying,
"Like I preached when I was on earth. The essence of Christianity lies in its opposition to violence, arbitrary actions, the glorification of power, and advocacy for the vulnerable. Regrettably, Christians are not doing enough to elucidate these principles. The realm of Christianity seems to conform with the idolization of authority. Christians should challenge societal norms much more than they currently do."
I injected. I agree, but when Christians in America speak out on all that, it is about social justice. Any hint of holiness and we are shut down, I argued. In the 1980s, we spoke up and were ironically demonized. Now, power is given by the privilege of victimhood. It is all pseudo-justice. No grace is tolerated. Any person espousing any Christian ethic that does not bow to Moloch or Asherah is convicted of heresy. Those who rule do so by condemning everyone for past sins of your generation. Even you are idolized by those who wish to disregard the word of God. There is nothing good they do not call evil, and nothing evil they do not call good." Dietrich rubbed his chin and sat back down.
"I know your world has turned logic upside down. I know. But your light is still light nonetheless. In my time, true Christians needed to stand up for peace and social justice because the powers sought to steal, kill, and destroy the weak. In your time, they look to destroy themselves with indulgence, sexual perversity, and pride. They keep the weak weak and make it a virtue, I know."
It's like the world has gone mad, I added. They can't tell their right from their left, or the difference between a man and woman. How does the church stand for reason and hope in a world where irrationality and despair are glorified.
Yes,
He said with some resignation.
against stupidity, we are defenseless. It is more dangerous than malice. Satan has done well at inducing a stupor in your people as he did for my people. They are committing suicide and thinking they are doing the world and God a service. In their stupor, they are possessed by the demons of catchphrases and what you call bumper stickers. That is all the wisdom they need to feel satisfied and self-satisfied. We had our memes. Arbeit macht frei. This was a slogan over the entry gate to Auschwitz. It means work will set you free.
How does the church fight against its stupidity? I asked. I thought he should be the expert since he met the height of stupidity in his day. He was a part of the resistance clergy in Germany during Hitler's reign. They were committed to a confession that gave them the label, the Confessing Church. Dietrich adjusted himself in the chair again. He replied,
Firstly, the church must understand that the stupid person is incapable of seeing the evil they promote. A fellow clergyman once told me that we opponents of Nazism were stupid because we allowed the Jews to run a corrupt world system. That is why, as you say, some of your stupid people read my works and conclude that your desire for piety is stupid or even oppressive. As Paul said of them, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Therefore you must understand that liberation is the only victor over stupidity.
Raziel chimed in.
Yes, young man, remind them that. In the last days, perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
Sir Timothy 3:1, 5 KJV. Dietrich nodded enthusiastically in agreement.
Indeed, he continued, you must abandon all attempts to convince the stupid person. From such turn away. Separate yourselves from them. I was convinced that my time was the full fulfillment of Paul's prophecy. I was enculturated as I saw even greater dangers coming. I have kept up with humanity, talking to many before you. I fear for you. As it says in Proverbs, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished. This prescience does not mean one cloister himself, though, because we are to speak God's truth to the world to save many, to protect the weak and defenseless. They must inculcate this in their little ones in the faith, the word of the Bible and the fear of God. This is what brings freedom, living responsibly and obediently before God. Don't have anything to do with stupid arguments, rather redeem the time, for the days are evil.
I will write this down, I replied, wanting to show agreement. He added one more thing.
Be warned. Let me quote myself. One side is convinced they must use any means necessary to remove any obstacle between them and their egalitarian paradise. The church must be ready. They must always count the cost of discipleship. When Christ calls us, he calls us to die.
Raziel said,
On that solemn note, we must let our brother Dietrich be on his way. He teaches the little ones who enter this place.
Dietrich smiled.
Yes, it is the joy of heaven for me.
Turning to me, he patted my knee as he rose to say,
Write it all down. We will meet again before judgment, I'm sure. Then he hugged Raziel and left.
That was a nice surprise, I told Raziel as he stepped back from the closed door.
When you talk again, I'm sure he will want to hear your story. But today, he needed to deliver his message for your notes.
He replied.
Would you like another hot chocolate?
He then asked. Now in a better mood and regained composure, I thought I would. He repeated the process of opening the heaven-made cocoa packet and poured it into my cup along with the hot water from the kettle that sat near the fire. In this in-between world, I could enjoy simple pleasures without worrying about calories or indulgent concerns. Hence, I took a moment to smell the sweet aroma of chocolate and taste its warm, inviting flavor. When I experience this imagination, what about unpleasant sensations like hot chocolate that is too hot? I asked him, then took a sip from my drink. Raziel replied,
Young man, People don't come to paradise to imagine hell.
He grinned and said, "If you try hard enough, you can imagine pain. But why would you want to? If you wanted to, you could await judgment sitting in front of your ideal setting, sharing with others and drinking your hot cocoa. But now," he told me, "we still had a story to complete." "So what now?" I asked him, as he also helped himself to a packet.
We wait,
He answered. I asked him for more information about the Bigfoot and the shadows I had seen. He told me there had been a tentative treaty on and off for thousands of years between the children of men and the Nephilim, as they called them. Being awful brutes, the Nephilim would most often ally with the shadows. In return, the shadows would use secret human agents to hide their existence enough for plausible deniability. The Watchers, another form of demon but apathetic to power, would aid this effort and further the ends of the demons. As I had heard from the conference of Nephilim, the various races were getting disgruntled. Many rogue Nephilim will cull humans from hunting parties, camps, or lone hikers and take them for an opportune feast. The children of men, being more intelligent with tools, would learn to either appease these rogue monsters or hunt them. Some of the children of men experiment on them, creating terrible creatures. A secret military group, sometimes called 4E, entity, evaluate, eradicate, erase, or Squadron Canard, fight these rogue monsters. Discerning whether they are a threat or pose untold technology, the sons of men help the Watchers destroy evidence or intimidate witnesses. It is an advantage for the minions of Satan who wish to preserve their long-time narrative about materialism. However, these secret organizations have become prideful, using their power in other directions of late. One horrendous subgroup is an assassination team, experts in killing people, or Bigfoot, who stand in the way of the New World Order. The disintegration of the treaties is playing into the devil's hand and furthers his evil narrative. Therefore, there has been an on-and-off stalemate for hundreds of years. In the 1970s, there was a near-total breakdown until the host of heaven interceded, and events quieted. Now Satan is coming and wants to stir the pot again. He has released the Anubis, especially in North America. Raziel told me of some intelligence reports that he will first send one of his possessions to the underground airbase in the Nevada desert. "There is an underground airbase in Nevada?" I asked with some surprise. He explained that many Cold War underground facilities exist, including Nevada, Colorado, and Arizona. The sons of men confuse the population with leaks about their existence, combined with misinformation to discredit anyone who publicizes them. People who work for them are compartmentalized and fed a cover story. If deception, bribes, and threats fail, or whistleblowers gain too much of a following, the assassination team activates. Their typical MO is accidents or suicides. Satan is moving his new narrative forward and needs more talk about these conspiracies. Therefore, he wants the treaty broken. It is comical if you think about it. Ancient aliens are nothing more than ancient demons. Of course, all this plausible deniability allows Satan to keep his materialistic narrative simultaneously. It is pretty clever. "You know the result if I add this information to the notes, don't you?" I said with my own eyebrow expression. He laughed and added,
Don't you worry about that. It is just a story. The point will still be made in the end.
"By the way," I asked, "if Satan's narrative benefits from more talk about conspiracies, why have me write this down?" Raziel took a quick sip from his drink and said,
Because it is also to our advantage to get the church out in front of it. It is already happening regardless. As the scriptures say, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect.
At that moment, Ariel's entrance preceded a knock at the door. "You're back," I exclaimed, smiling.
Yes.
She said.
How was your chat?
"Too short," I replied. "But I wrote everything in my notebook as requested." Ariel leaned over the chair and remarked,
I know our journey has seemed haphazard, but it isn't.
Raziel smiled and teased,
Your friend seems to enjoy hot chocolate.
She laughed. We knew that heaven, even middle heaven, wouldn't be the same without it.